James Kaufman, World News Report today. Ladies and gentlemen, the good news today, and there's only a bit of good news, is that all geomagnetic storms have subsided per the estimated planetary index, Fredericksburg index, and Boulder index. Remember, the college index is a highly elevated as an altitude index, and it's going to, censor more radiation, i.e. in the form of protons, electrons, in the form of solar wind and plasma than any of the other three KP indexes. So it's always going to be more sensitive because of its elevation. And now for the super bad news. We've had a very long-lasting X-class solar flare here. It looks like it definitely lasted longer than an hour in X-class territory. I guess the good news is it looks like it was an X 1.98 or maybe an X2. We'll get some different readings from some different agencies, but right close to an X2 flare in the X territory for well over an hour, closer to an hour and a half or 2 hours. Now it has subsided into an M-class solar flare, but you can also see that it is actually extending its time period by curving outward into the future, meaning it's going to extend its time in the M-class territory, and this might be a situation where it's in the M-class territory for 4, 5, or 6 hours. Again, directly facing from sunspot AR3941, a complex sunspot, one that we were worried about. And we're not even to the planetary lineup that starts tomorrow, although we're very, very close. I suggest that we might see some action today. We're seeing exactly that. World News Report called this lineup about 6 weeks ago, about a month or more before any other channel or space organization called this out for you guys. All right. Looking at our GOES 19 proton flux, we're seeing it start to jump there. The 10 million volt line is starting to jump. We'll see if it makes it all the way into space weather threshold up there. But it is going to move here. All right, I've got some serious questions here, and we've got a serious problem. First off, we can see our 3 planets merging. Venus, Mercury, and Mars. They're going to be behind the solar disk, with the moon directly between Earth and the sun and those planets on the back side. Why is it shooting past so quickly? It should take 28 days for the moon to go around Earth, and it shouldn't pass by in just a few hours from the camera lens and then do a loop-de-loop and come back. There's nothing that could explain this. I want y'all to see something coming out of the sun here as well. Very strange. It looks like a ship of some sort. And we're actually catching the X flare on this. Watch this. This is the X flare. Ready? Right there. It is going to be a walloper. Expect a proton storm, a solar cap absorption event. Expect a whole plethora of events. There's that chip or whatever it is. This is freak show, because why don't we see this on LASCO? The same exact satellite. That's not even the problem. None of this is the problem. The problem is that we have some kind of planet that just came into the solar system and looks like it's inbound for the sun. If it's not a planet, it's a huge meteor. All right, over to LASCO, C3, this is a larger view than, our core 1, and we should be able to see the moon. It's on the same satellite. GOES 19, watch, here comes that planet. I can't even believe that there is a planet coming. They've cut off some time here, and we'll take a look at it. This doesn't actually make it up to the time of the X flare. This is the flare from yesterday. And we do see, and I'm going to stop this here, we do see a planet or a very large rock come into play right there. I'm going to try to stop this. I just want to know what the heck's going on. Here it comes. Y'all ready? Now, 1730, 45. Look at the size of this. Looks like a planet to me. It's coming in from a very strange angle. We don't know of any meteors that were supposed to show up today. Well, we don't, although NASA and NOAA might. And they cut the time off as soon. Look, that's the last frame. Boy, is this crazy. You can't ask for any more crazy than this. So we've had an X-flare. Now we have what looks like a planet coming into play. And we have the moon doing loop-de-loops, but we can't see the moon from the exact same point, 223 miles above Earth, where the moon should be right between us and the sun here. And this is even a bigger view. You can view much further south than you can on Core 1. Why can't we see the moon here? And why can't we see the moon on the other one, Core 1? And why is the moon going so fast and doing loop-de-loops? And again, they've stopped it here, but we've got them. We've got either the biggest meteor we've seen in some time. The tail should be facing our star here, even if it's coming inbound. And this looks like a planet. Wow, whatever it is, it's a very large. It looks larger than Mercury, if you want the truth. So, I don't know really what to do about this, except for show it to y'all. Look at the trajectory it is coming in at. This is a scary situation. I will do it on another video about this next, but wow. All right, I sure don't know when we had that. Oh, I guess that's a current value X, 1.95. We said X2. They haven't assigned it to a sunspot, but I can already tell you it's 4341. I think I was calling it 3941 a bit ago. 4341, and it is directly Earth facing. 5% chance of X-class solar flare, 55% chance of an M-class solar flare. Both those ships have sailed, and I don't think they were expecting it today. I really don't. Saying peaked at 1809. I don't think it's ended. It's still an X 6.56. They have an end. Well, as you can see here, about 34 minutes later. So again, I don't think it's anywhere close to ending unless this is going to shoot back up. So 4343 is now simple again. It was beta gamma. This is a beta gamma sunspot. They weren't expecting it to flare. It's the one that just shut off the X-flare, highly visible on our GO solar ultraviolet imager. And, well, we have an additional 5 sunspots up and above those, and they're looking fairly complex, although they're still simple in structure. All right, over to GO's 19 solar ultraviolet imager. We see this strange band here, and it really shows that coronal hole. It makes it look a lot bigger. As we move around, we see a lot of activity come out of 4341. These look like M flares. Another band situation here, very strange. What's going on there? We also see the very complex sunspots coming around the limb here. You can see several of them here, okay? Several of them. We did take a look at those before. Look at the activity right around 4341. Those are all flares. Must be, well, the beginning of hell. Now, look at this. I don't know what that is on the bottom there. That's definitely not the moon, but it's something covering up the bottom there. Now, all the planets that are transversing are doing it from the rear, so we wouldn't be seeing them. That was strange. Now, here we go. This looks like a lot bigger than an X2 flare. Watch this. Wow. It even caused one of these, I don't know, even hit the camera that quick. Look at the size of this flare. And it's obvious that it blew out a large coronal mass ejection. We did see that on core 1. It was a halo ejection, and they have ended this a little bit further in. Look at the size of this explosion, directly Earth facing with a halo eruption. Put on, well, hide. Get in the caves. Hit your bunkers. I bet we don't see anybody interviewing all night tonight and all day tomorrow as far as politicians. Get your EMP wear on quick. All right, this is the peak of that. Happened again in the Pacific Ocean. Covers a lot of North America, all of Central America, and all of South America. But the peak was really offshore there in the Pacific. So that was it there. And it's continuing until where this cuts off at 1905. I say it's continuing until right now. Definitely still in M-class territory. We'll take another look at it before we go. Crazy stuff. What's even worse is our shields are down. See them in red below zero here. Now let me say, a explosion of that size heading directly towards Earth is going to be here fast. Fast. We're talking about 20, 22 hours. So y'all buckle up. This is going to happen tonight. Let's see, or early tomorrow morning. Again, core 119 on GOES 19 is on the same satellite as LASCO C3 19. Why do we see the moon here? It's just as much view. Look how close the moon comes to Venus or Mercury here. I mean, it almost hits it. But we don't see that on the same satellite looking through LASCO. This does not make any sense. And we also, I don't know what's moving this fast. How can the moon transverse this entire area so quickly? Watch the blast, because they did catch the blast here. Here it is. Boom, at least the first part of it. Wow. This is going to be something to remember. Watch this sun look like it's going to do a loop and turn back around. This is impossible. The planets don't move, so the satellite hasn't moved. What's the moon doing? How is it making these hard left turns and right turns and things? And why don't we see it on LASCO, the same exact satellite with the same range of view? And ladies and gentlemen, how can we possibly have a planet coming into our solar system from the north? Remember, GOES 19, C3, our planets all merging here. I believe this is Venus, this is Mars, and this is Mercury. We'll check them out here. And now we have a rogue planet, or something that looks like a rogue planet, and they have stopped LASCO in its tracks. We can't see the moon, but it almost looked like it touched. Looks like it touched Mercury down here when it came through, didn't it? It really did, folks. It really did. This is a freak show. We're in more than a little bit of trouble. I'm afraid NASA knew all about this. I.e., that's exactly why they got everyone out of the space station instead of just the quote-unquote sick guy. Let me know what y'all think, folks. I'll run this as a premiere so we can chat. This is crazy. I'm going to do a couple of videos, but this has gotten to be insane. Please make sure to give us a thumbs up. Please make sure to share the video. Please point out this rogue planet or whatever. It's a huge meteor coming into play here. And, well, subscribe if you haven't. Remember that anything's possible. Bizarro world. One last look at this flare before we go. The path down it's taking is horrific. This is already about 3-hour period here. In the high M's, about an hour and a half. Close to 2 hours in X-flare territory. Y'all get ready to rumble, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do it as a premiere, but please share it. God bless. Please, please, get prepared. At least put gas in your car and get some water. Those two things will get you through 7 days. God bless.